The 7 stages of spiritual awakening. Imagine yourself traversing an ascending spiral, where each turn reveals a new layer of understanding and connection with the universe. This is not a common journey. It is the path of spiritual awakening. In this video, we will unravel the 7 stages of this extraordinary journey, showing that, like a spiral of DNA, each turn is unique and each step reflects the beauty of individuality. Discover which stage you are in and how each stage challenges, transforms, and elevates us. Stay with us until the end to explore the mysteries of spiritual awakening and how it unfolds into a work of art as complex as life. Spiritual awakening is a journey that transcends linearity. It is an ascending spiral of self-awareness, enlightenment, and deep connection with all that exists. Unlike a straight and predictable path, awakening is dynamic, full of twists, breakthroughs, and sometimes setbacks. It is a journey that reflects the complexity of human DNA, where each segment, each turn of the spiral, contributes to the unique design of our spiritual existence. In this process, it is common for people to experience the stages in different ways. Some may feel a linear progression, while others may leap stages, experience several simultaneously, or even revisit previous stages in a new light. This non-linearity is what makes each spiritual awakening journey deeply personal and tailor-made. There is no one-size-fits-all when it comes to spiritual growth. Each path is as unique as the soul's fingerprint that traverses it. Spiritual awakening begins with the recognition that there is more to life than what we perceive with our physical senses. It is the moment when we begin to question our beliefs, values, and the very nature of reality. This questioning can arise in various forms: a personal crisis, a near-death experience, a moment of profound connection with nature, or even a sudden curiosity about the deeper meaning of life. As we embark on this journey, we discover that spiritual awakening is not just about seeking external answers, but rather about looking within and recognizing the light and wisdom that reside within us. It is an invitation to unravel the mysteries of our being, learn to live authentically, and create a life that reflects our deepest truth. First stage, ego mastery. At the beginning of this awakening spiral, we encounter the initial stage, dominated by the ego. This is familiar territory for many, characterized by a deep and often unconscious identification with the ego. Here, thoughts and emotions are not just passing experiences. They are seen as the essence of who we are. In this stage, the ego reigns supreme, weaving a narrative in which it is the undisputed protagonist, and every thought, every emotion is a direct reflection of our innermost being. At this point in the journey, the distinction between the self and my thoughts, between the self and my emotions, seems non-existent. There is an almost complete fusion, where the boundaries of the self are constructed and maintained by the whims of the ego. Identification with the ego is so intense that the idea of separation may not only seem strange, but also threatening. The ego, in its quest for security and validation, creates a reality where it is the center, controlling the narrative of our lives with firm hands. Under the dominion of the ego, we are often swept away by a stream of thoughts and emotions without the awareness that we can swim out of it. These thoughts and emotions govern our lives, dictating our reactions, decisions, and by extension, our sense of happiness and satisfaction. We live in a state of reactivity, where every external event has the power to disturb or uplift our internal state. leaving us at the mercy of circumstances. The challenge in this stage is to recognize the dominant presence of the ego and begin to question its authority. It is a process of disidentification, of realizing that we are more than our thoughts and emotions. This recognition does not come easily, as it requires a conscious observation of our internal patterns and the courage to confront the insecurities that the ego has worked so hard to conceal. The journey beyond the dominion of the ego is a journey toward freedom. It begins with the practice of mindfulness, learning to observe our thoughts and emotions without judgment and without identification. In doing so, we begin to create space between the observer and the observed, between the true self and the ego's narrative. This space is where true freedom resides, as it allows us to choose how to respond to the world around us, rather than automatically reacting from conditioned patterns. The initial stage of spiritual awakening, dominated by the ego, is both a challenge and an opportunity. It is an invitation to begin questioning the stories we tell ourselves about who we are and to explore the possibility that there is more to our existence than the ego would like us to believe. Second stage, reaction to life versus active creation. As we progress on the journey of spiritual awakening, we encounter a crucial stage that serves as a turning point in our perception of existence, the transition from reacting to life to active creation. This stage is marked by an internal struggle between drifting in the currents of life, reacting to every wave that comes our way, and taking the helm, consciously navigating toward our desired destinations. At this point, many of us live in a state of constant reaction. We feel that life happens to us, and not that we happen to life. This sense of powerlessness is accompanied by a series of reactive emotions, such as defensiveness, anger, and negativity. Each challenging event or trauma reinforces the belief that we are at the mercy of external forces, that life is something that unfolds independently of our desires or actions. This perception of lack of control is a symptom of deep identification with the ego, which sees itself as separate and isolated from the larger flow of existence. The transition to active creation begins with the recognition that we have more control over our life experience than we initially perceive. This recognition does not imply that we can control every aspect of life or avoid challenges and suffering. Instead, it means that we have the ability to shape our perception, attitude, and reactions to life events. Active creation involves a shift in focus from being a passive participant to becoming an active co-creator of our reality. The key to this transformation is the cultivation of awareness. As we become more aware of our thought patterns, emotions, and habitual reactions, we begin to see the choices we have in each moment. The practice of mindfulness and meditation can be incredibly valuable here, helping us to create a space between stimulus and response where our true freedom resides. With this expanded awareness, we are able to choose more constructive responses aligned with our deepest values and desires. Instead of automatically reacting with defensiveness or negativity, we can choose to respond with understanding, compassion, or even curiosity. This shift not only transforms our internal experience, but also begins to change the way we interact with the world around us, attracting more positive experiences and opportunities. The transition from the stage of reacting to life to active creation is an essential step on the path of spiritual awakening. By recognizing our ability to choose how we respond to life circumstances, we open the door to a more empowered and intentional existence. This stage challenges us to let go of the belief in powerlessness and to embrace our power to co-create reality, one moment at a time. Third stage, perception of others and the world. As we progress through the stages of spiritual awakening, we encounter a deeply revealing stage that challenges our perception of others and the world around us. This stage confronts us with a disconcerting truth. Our perception is inherently filtered through the lenses of our own experiences, beliefs, and projections. This filtering process, while a natural function of the human mind, often prevents us from seeing people and situations clearly and compassionately, instead promoting a distorted and often limited view of the world. Our perception is like a mosaic composed of pieces of our past experiences, emotions, beliefs, and expectations. Each interaction, each observation of the world is colored by this mosaic, leading us to see not what is, but what our mind is conditioned to perceive. This means that two people can observe the same event and have radically different interpretations based on their unique life stories and individual belief systems. A particularly challenging aspect of this stage is the recognition that we often project our own shadows, fears, and desires onto others. These projections act as distorted mirrors, reflecting not the reality of the other person, but aspects of ourselves that we may not be ready or willing to confront. This dynamic can lead to misunderstandings, conflicts, and a sense of isolation as we struggle to genuinely connect with others through the barriers of our own projections. The path to overcoming these distortions and reaching a more genuine understanding of others and the world begins with self-awareness. As we become more aware of our own perceptual lenses, we can begin to question and eventually expand our vision. This involves a process of deep introspection, recognizing and working through our own shadows, biases, and areas of denial. Practices such as mindfulness meditation, reflective journaling, and therapy can be valuable tools in this process, helping us to observe our reactions and projections without judgment. Additionally, cultivating empathy and compassion, trying to see the world through the eyes of others can help us transcend our own perceptual limitations and connect more authentically with those around us. This stage of spiritual awakening invites us to explore the complexity of human perception and to recognize the limitations that our experiences and projections impose on our ability to truly understand others and the world. Fourth stage, unconsciousness and entanglement with the ego. Within the spiral of the spiritual awakening, we encounter a stage marked by a profound entanglement with the ego, a point in the journey where the boundaries between the self and the external world become blurred and indistinct. This stage, permeated by unconsciousness, is characterized by such intense identification with the ego that the separation between our true essence and the constructs of the ego seems non-existent. Here, we live under the illusion that we are our thoughts, our emotions, and our experiences without realizing the vastness of our being that transcends these temporary limitations. At this point in the journey, the ego is not just an aspect of our experience, it becomes the master of it. Ruling from a throne of distorted perceptions, the ego keeps us in a state of constant pursuit of external validation, material success, and satisfaction of superficial desires, all of which are ephemeral and ultimately unsatisfying. The unconsciousness of this stage leaves us vulnerable to living a reactive life, where we are pulled by invisible strings of habitual patterns and limiting beliefs. The journey toward true spiritual awakening begins with a crucial realization. the need to break free from the shackles of the ego and the unconscious patterns that dominate our existence. This moment of insight often arises from a crisis, a turning point where the suffering caused by identification with the ego becomes unbearable, or through moments of deep introspection and reflection. It is the recognition that there is more to life than the limited narrative we have been living, a call to explore the deeper layers of our existence. Breaking free from entanglement with the ego requires courage to face the unknown and willingness to let go of the identities and beliefs that have defined us thus far. This process involves diving into the depths of our being, questioning who we are beyond the roles we play and the stories we tell about ourselves. It is an invitation to self-exploration and self-inquiry, a path that leads us to discover our true nature, which is infinitely richer and more complex than any ego construction. Practices such as meditation, mindfulness, and shadow work are valuable tools in this phase, helping us to observe our thoughts and emotions without identification, to recognize and integrate rejected aspects of ourselves, and to cultivate conscious presence in the present moment. These practices teach us to create space between ourselves and our automatic reactions, allowing us to choose how we want to respond to life, rather than being swept away by old habits and unconscious patterns. The stage of unconsciousness and entanglement with the ego is both a challenge and an extraordinary opportunity for growth and transformation. By recognizing the need to transcend the ego and explore the depths of our being, we open the doors to a journey of self-discovery that reveals the beauty, strength, and wisdom that reside within each of us. This is the true beginning of the spiritual journey, a path that leads us back home to the essence of what we truly are. Fifth stage, ego death. One of the most significant and transformative milestones in the journey of spiritual awakening is the stage known as ego death. This moment is not so much an elimination of the ego, as it is a profound transformation in the relationship we have with it. It is a turning point where the intense identification with the ego, with our thoughts, emotions, stories, and beliefs about who we are, begins to dissolve, revealing a deeper and more authentic connection with our true essence. The ego death is often misunderstood. Far from being a literal end of the ego or personality, it is an expansion of consciousness that allows us to see beyond the illusion of separation created by the ego. In this stage, we experience a keen perception that we are not our thoughts, our emotions, nor the stories we tell about ourselves. Instead, we begin to identify with something much vaster and deeper, a consciousness or presence that is immutable and eternal. The transition through ego death can be challenging. It may involve confronting and releasing deep-seated fears, insecurities, and limiting beliefs that have been reinforced throughout life. This process of detachment may be accompanied by a variety of intense emotions and sometimes existential crises as old structures and identities begin to unravel. However, it is precisely through this disintegration that space is created for the emergence of a new way of being. After ego death, a sense of freedom and lightness emerges as we are no longer so tethered to the demands and expectations of the ego. We discover an ability to live with greater authenticity, expressing our true nature without fear of judgment or the need for external approval. Life begins to be lived not from a place of defense or desire, but from a space of serenity, love, and acceptance. This stage marks a transition to deeper levels of self-awareness and connection. We recognize our unity with all that exists, realizing that every person, every creature, every aspect of nature is an expression of the same spirit or universal consciousness. This realization brings with it deep empathy and compassion, as well as a desire to live in harmony with this broader understanding of reality. The death of ego is a gateway to true freedom. By freeing ourselves from the tyranny of the ego, we are invited to explore the vastness of our true being, uncovering layers of peace, joy, and love that were hidden beneath the ego's constructs. This stage is an invitation to live with full presence, embracing each moment with gratitude and wonder, and engaging in the dance of life with an open heart and an awakened soul. Sixth stage, connection and integration. After the transformative experience of ego death, a stage of profound connection and integration begins, marking a significant phase in spiritual awakening. At this point, the boundaries that once separated the individual from the rest of the universe begin to dissolve, giving way to a deep sense of unity with all that exists. This perception of interconnection reveals that we are not isolated entities, but integral parts of a larger whole, intrinsically connected to the web of life. In this stage, the distinction between self and other, between the individual and the universe, becomes increasingly blurred. One begins to realize that every thought, word, and action has an impact on the fabric of reality, resonating through the vast field of existence. This understanding brings with it greater responsibility, but also an incredible opportunity to live more consciously and intentionally. With the dissolution of ego barriers comes a significant increase in empathy and compassion. The pain and joy of others are felt as one's own, and a genuine desire arises to contribute to collective well-being. This stage is characterized by a conscious effort to live in harmony with the world around, respecting the sacredness of all life and recognizing our participation in the ongoing cycle of existence. Seventh stage, service and purpose. The final stage of spiritual awakening is marked by the realization of a purpose or mission that goes beyond self-interest. Here, the pursuit of personal growth gives way to a higher calling to serve others meaningfully. This calling can manifest in various forms, from small acts of kindness in daily life to large endeavors seeking to provoke positive social or environmental change. At this point, each person's unique gifts and talents are seen as valuable tools to contribute to the greater good. Spirituality becomes a driving force for positive action in the world, propelled by universal values such as love, justice, and compassion. The individual feels part of something greater and is driven by the desire to leave a positive legacy, recognizing that each contribution, no matter how small, is vital to the collective fabric of humanity. The stages of connection and integration, followed by service and purpose, represent the pinnacle of spiritual awakening, where inner journey merges with outward expression. This transition from self-awareness to altruistic action reflects a profound spiritual maturity, where personal fulfillment is found in service to others and contribution to the harmony and balance of the world. In which stage are you? Please respond in the comments.